Have you ever wondered why some people are willing to risk everything for what they believe in, even when the whole world seems against them? Often, it's because their devotion is so strong that doubt and fear no longer hold them back. We see this kind of unwavering commitment throughout history, marked by extraordinary acts of loyalty. When it's tied to faith, especially a deep love for someone like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the impact can be both powerful and unforgettable. Imagine feeling such a close bond with a spiritual guide that defending that guide's honor becomes a sacred duty. This isn't just about fighting or anger. It's about a burning passion that drives a person to protect what they value most. Across different cultures and eras, there are stories of people standing up for their prophets, saints, or heroes. You might find these accounts in ancient manuscripts or in modern headlines. No matter the time period, the idea is the same: a willingness to sacrifice comfort, safety, and even life itself for the honor of someone profoundly loved. In this script, we focus on the devotion to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a key part of Islamic faith. For many Muslims, loving him isn't just a belief tucked away in obscure texts. It's openly discussed in everyday life. The Prophet isn't seen as a distant historical figure. His teachings and compassion still influence people all over the world. So when some feel he's disrespected, they react with a fervor that puzzles outsiders. Others watch with a mix of admiration and caution, unsure if they agree with the actions taken. What's fascinating is how these stories span centuries. One moment, you might read about someone from the early days of Islam. The next, you'll find a recent news story echoing the same devotion. Details differ, but the core feeling, protecting the Prophet's honor, never changes. This shared purpose unites believers across time and culture, from the deserts of Arabia to busy cities around the globe. In this script, we'll share glimpses of 5 individuals who stood out for their intense love of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the bold steps they took. We won't reveal their names or deeds just yet, because each story has its own power. But as you follow their journeys, you'll see how devotion to a single figure can stir entire communities, shape public debate, and leave lasting marks on history. Each example shows that true dedication can amaze us, spark controversy, and sometimes even change the course of events for generations to come. 1. Amar Shaheed Seema. One name that stands out in modern times is Amar Shaheed Seema, a Pakistani national whose devotion to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, became widely known in 2005. While living in Germany, he grew furious over the publication of controversial cartoons mocking the Prophet, which appeared in a Danish newspaper. Driven by powerful emotions, Amar decided to confront the editor-in-chief responsible for spreading what he believed was a grave insult. Reports suggest that he managed to launch an assault, though some say his plan went further than anyone originally realized. German authorities arrested him soon after, and conflicting accounts described that he was subjected to severe treatment in custody. Friends and family tried desperately to help, but Amar refused to back down or apologize for his actions, insisting that he had acted out of pure love for the Prophet. Eventually, he was found dead on May 13, 2006, under circumstances that remain disputed. Many in Pakistan mourned him as a hero, and newspapers described how a vast crowd, possibly more than 500,000 people, attended his funeral in Wazirabad. Despite the differences in public opinion, some saw him as a self-sacrificing believer, while others viewed his methods as too extreme. His story spread through both local and international media, capturing the attention of people who had never heard his name before. Although official German court documents are not easily accessible, his case continues to spark debates about freedom of speech, respect for religious figures, and the lengths to which a devoted follower might go. But even after all this, the full truth behind his final days remains shrouded in mystery, leaving us with a haunting question. Could there be far more fascinating details and unseen twists to his story than what we have been led to believe so far? Second, Mumtaz Qadri. Mumtaz Qadri is one figure whose name still resonates powerfully in Pakistan and beyond. He first stepped into the public spotlight in early 2011 when he served in Punjab's elite police force and was assigned to protect the governor of Punjab, Sultan Salahuddin. At that time, the case of Eesah Bibi, a Christian woman accused of blasphemy, was causing heated debates across the country. Governor Tasir openly criticized the blasphemy law and called for reforms, believing it was often misused. Many religious circles saw this as a direct challenge to deeply held beliefs, and Mumtaz Qadri, driven by his devotion to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, felt it was his duty to act. On January 4th, 2011, he assassinated Salman Taseer in broad daylight, an event that sparked shock, anger, and support in equal measure. In the aftermath, Qadri stood firm, asserting that he had taken this drastic step purely out of love for the Prophet. Public opinion was sharply divided. Some condemned him as a murderer who harmed Pakistan's stability, while others hailed him as a hero who upheld the honor of the Prophet at any cost. He was eventually tried and sentenced to death, with his execution taking place on February 29th, 2016. Massive crowds attended his funeral, demonstrating that a significant portion of the population viewed him as a martyr. Local news reports and international media described the surge of emotion among people who believed Qadri's actions were justified by religious devotion. Yet, the intense discussions his case triggered about freedom of speech, the power of religious sentiment, and the role of the legal system still linger. Even now, many wonder if the full complexity of Mumtaz Qadri's motives and the forces that shaped him has truly come to light, or if there is more to discover. 3. Eesah Shahid, often associated with Ghazi Ilm-ud-Din Shahid. Eesah Shahid is a name that sometimes surfaces in discussions about historic acts of devotion, particularly those tied to the famous story of Ghazi Ilm-ud-Din Shahid. Ghazi Ilm-ud-Din, who killed the publisher Rajpal in 1929 for printing a controversial book mocking the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was executed and buried in Lahore. Over time, many people began confusing Eesah Shahid, reportedly martyred in Lahore on December 3, 1968, with Ilm-ud-Din. Both names appear in narratives highlighting how certain individuals, driven by intense love for the Prophet, felt compelled to take drastic action when they believed the Prophet's honor was being attacked. Although official records from British India document Ilm-ud-Din's trial and execution in some detail, the information about Eesah Shahid can be harder to verify. Local stories and oral traditions often blend the two figures, making it a challenge to separate fact from legend. Historians note that newspapers and publications of that era sometimes used emotional language, reflecting the charged atmosphere. Even so, the mention of Eesah Shahid in memorial accounts suggests he might have been viewed by some as another brave soul who gave his life for a cause he deeply believed in. Many regard both men as symbols of unwavering resolve in religious controversy. His story, though overshadowed by Ilm-ud-Din's more famous case, still resonates with people who admire these acts of unwavering devotion. Some say this confusion points to a broader pattern. Society has always held up examples of those willing to sacrifice themselves for the Prophet's honor, whether in 1929 or decades later. To this day, those who speak about Eesah Shahid cannot always confirm where his story truly ends and where Ilm-ud-Din's begins, leaving curious minds to ask, could there be hidden links between these two names that have yet to be revealed? Dördüncü Sultan Salahuddin Ayubi. Sultan Salahuddin Ayubi, known to many in the West as Saladin, was a remarkable leader who rose to prominence during the time of the Crusades. He established himself as a ruler with both strength in battle and a compassionate spirit in governance. Born in Tikrit, now in modern-day Iraq, he grew up surrounded by the political struggles of the Middle East, eventually becoming a key figure under Nur ad-Din Zangi in Syria. Over time, he united various Muslim factions, forging alliances that enabled him to confront the Crusader states. His most famous victory came in 1187 at the Battle of Hattin, where he defeated the Crusaders and reclaimed Jerusalem. This triumph not only boosted his standing among Muslims, but also secured his place in history as an iconic champion of faith. Yet, beyond these military feats, Salahuddin was known for his deep devotion to Islam and his respect for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Stories hint that he swiftly dealt with anyone who insulted the Prophet, while still displaying mercy toward conquered populations. He allowed many Christian pilgrims to continue visiting holy sites in Jerusalem, winning admiration from some of his former foes. European monarchs and knights acknowledged his fairness and sense of honor. Nevertheless, many wonder if all aspects of his character have truly been revealed. On one hand, there are accounts of him offering generous terms to adversaries. On the other, rumors suggest harsh reprisals against anyone mocking Islam. Could these contrasting narratives be part of what made him a legend, or do they point to deeper layers that remain unexplored? For all the tales that exist, perhaps the true heart of Sultan Salahuddin's story has yet to fully emerge, leaving us to wonder what further secrets lie beneath his celebrated legacy, or what surprises await. Panchvi Hazrat Hamza. Hazrat Hamza, often called the Lion of Allah, was one of the most beloved uncles of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and a powerful figure in early Islamic history. When he embraced Islam in its early days, his courage and unwavering loyalty added great strength to the Muslim community. Many accounts describe how he stood up against any harm directed toward his nephew, showing he would never tolerate disrespect toward the Prophet. This devotion earned him enormous respect among believers, who saw in him both a fierce warrior and a caring protector. He fought in the Battle of Badr, playing a major role in the Muslims' surprising victory, despite their smaller numbers. But it was in the Battle of Uhud, fought in the 3rd year after the migration to Medina, that Hazrat Hamza's story reached a tragic yet revered climax. In that fierce confrontation, he was struck down by an Ethiopian spear-thrower named Washi. Historical sources say this moment became a turning point in the battle and in the hearts of the Prophet's companions, who were devastated to lose such a brave and beloved figure. Despite the grief, his martyrdom symbolized the height of sacrifice and commitment to the defense of faith. Later, Washi himself, moved by guilt and the truth of Islam, embraced the religion he had once tried to oppose. Hazrat Hamza's resting place on the battlefield of Uhud remains a site of deep reverence for visitors who pay tribute to his steadfastness and bravery. His example is a lasting inspiration for Muslims, reminding them of the cost of upholding what they hold sacred. Yet, for all the admiration surrounding him, one question lingers. Could his legacy hold more hidden depths than we realize, waiting to be uncovered in the folds of history? Conclusion. When we step back and look at these 5 figures, their stories stretch across centuries yet share a striking common thread. Each individual was driven by an unwavering commitment to protect the honor of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Whether it is Amar Shaheed Seema and Mumtaz Qadri in modern times, Eesah Shahid, often linked to Ghazi Ilm-ud-Din Shahid, in somewhat more recent history, Sultan Salahuddin Ayubi in the era of the Crusades, or Hazrat Hamza from the very dawn of Islam, each story shows how love for the Prophet can become a force, strong enough to reshape beliefs, actions, and even the course of entire communities. In some cases, this devotion sparked controversy and debate. In others, it became a legacy of heroism and sacrifice. Yet regardless of how different eras or societies interpret these actions, the underlying passion remains a testament to the power of faith, and a reminder that the bonds people form with spiritual ideals can transcend time, geography, and cultural change.